Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another channel update, and I guess somewhat of a end of the year review. First off, hopefully you guys are having a wonderful holiday season. This should be going out, I think, on New Year's Eve, so an early Happy New Year as well for those of you who will not stick around for the entire video. Allow me to also, I guess, TLDR it, as I usually do, summarize these update videos for those of you who do not want to listen to me ramble. So I'm not going to get into everything. If you want the nitty gritty, you're going to have to stick around. But the quick version of it is, starting next year, I am moving to a 1 video per week schedule. And do not worry, the game dev videos are not going anywhere. That is in fact the content I will be focusing on moving forward. I may put out a gameplay video here or there because, again, I do legitimately enjoy recording and editing that type of content. But the focus of next year is sort of a reboot and starting at the ground floor, so the game development videos will be the main focus of the channel. And for the most part, those videos are not going to be changing, but I will be tweaking the formats over time, so just expect that. But with that said, that is the general gist. I have a lot more to cover, so let's not waste any more time and let's get into the nitty-gritty. But before we get into anything that you can expect next year, let's do a little review of this year, because it has been a pretty crazy year if you think about it. Like, for one, we finally finished Phasminute. Like, I don't even know how long I've been working on that project, but we finally finished it. It was cool to see the Turkey Towers developers showing my poor attempt at trying to remake their game using Game Maker's physics system. They showed it some love despite my failure, so that was pretty cool. I released the first and only episode of Let's Dev Labs, which actually eventually led to the return of the original Let's Dev format. We also dipped our toes into some 3D physics and other advanced techniques in Game Maker, which is very cool and also stressful. And like always, it's great to see the way that you guys responded to the content and the weird things that I did this year. Which, speaking of which, I would have ended the recap there. You know, a nice quick little recap, nothing too long. But on this very day, amazing coincidence, I just have to say, Volpini Templar, and hopefully I'm saying your name correctly, actually released their own version of the Let's Dev gun game concept that I pressed forward, that I released into the world. And honestly, that has to be like the cherry on top of a pretty great year in terms of content. Like, don't get me wrong, to this very day, the thing that really drives me is always seeing all the great messages about how I've inspired them to, you know, try game development for themselves or whatever the case may be, to help them reach their aspirations, or even just try. You know, that's the main goal. That's always been the main goal. But this was just cool on another level to see someone reinterpret your silly ideas. It's that I don't know, words can't describe how giddy I was to see that. And I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that this is like the first time that someone has taken one of my silly ideas from Let's Dev and actually made them their own thing. So once again, great year. A lot happened, topped off with a great interpretation that I hope I see more of. I'm just gonna say that. I hope I see more of it. And I highly encourage you guys to take whatever inspiration from my stupid ideas and make them your own, and share with me the silliness. To be honest, it would be great to be able to encourage this type of behavior and try to foster a community that really tries to encourage itself and its members to continue to reach further aspirations and goals, you know? Regardless if it's my ideas or you guys are collaborating with each other, whatever the case may be. I would like to hopefully maybe reach that point sometime down the line, which is actually a great way to transition into what to expect next year, because there's a lot that could happen. I don't know. Next year is actually going to be really weird. So first off, let's talk about the things that I summarized in the summary. So as I mentioned, the Wednesday videos are going away because I enjoy making the content. I just don't have the time. And something that I really noticed is bringing back Let's Dev was a huge undertaking that it might not seem like it, but it takes a lot of time to produce an episode of Let's Dev. And I've realized that having to also record gameplay videos to produce 2 videos per week means that sometimes I don't have time to put effort into Let's Dev as much as I want to. And so I end up in this weird middle ground where I don't necessarily want to turn Let's Dev into projects that span multiple episodes, but I also don't want to rush an episode, you know? And so next year I want to focus on one thing at a time and then expand if I so happen to find the time. And I don't think it's far off to assume that people come for the game dev videos or for the gameplay videos, which is perfectly fine, but if that's the case, then I'm gonna focus on the content that you guys want the most. And so once again, Dev Diary will be every single week, every single Monday, except the final Monday in every month will be a Let's Dev video, which will hopefully allow me to spend more time not only recording, but also editing, and I'll basically be able to give the content that I produce more time, and it won't be as rushed, hopefully. That's the hope, at least. Because right now, my production schedule is just point to point. Like, once I finish one video, I'm working on the next one immediately after, because if I don't do that, then I don't have my videos for the week, and that can become a problem. Especially because my free time is so volatile as it is, you know, so it's always up in the air, so I always have to be ahead of the curve, or else there will become a point where there will be no content on the channel because I just don't have time to produce it, you know? So those are the changes to the scheduling. Now, in terms of format changes, as I mentioned in a previous channel update, the goal, or what I hope to accomplish with Let's Dev and Dev Diary, is to create two separate shows that focus on game development from two different, I guess, I don't know, not perspectives, but format. Format seems to be the best way to put it. So Dev Diary is supposed to be the more long-form technical stuff, and Let's Dev is supposed to be more of a casual sort of approach to silly ideas or just weird things that I want to accomplish that isn't necessarily too deep, too detailed, or shouldn't require multiple episodes. And so I want both series to really take advantage of the type of video that they're supposed to be. So, and I've kind of been dipping my toes already. If you've seen the most recent November Let's Dev, I sort of approached the editing for that video a little differently. It was a much more snappier video that really sort of tried to keep the flow going. Dev Diary is going to be a little awkward. I might not implement the new format into pre-existing projects just because it might be too jarring, but I think in newer projects we'll be taking a few more creative liberties. I don't know. I can't think of the word. It's late as I'm recording this. If it's not obvious, I always have to record things late, which is part of the problem. Anyway, let's move on. Good lord. Okay, so the final thing, and I'm putting this at the end because I assume that if you're still listening to this, then this may apply to you more than just anyone who may be dropping by casually. So I'm floating the idea, it's not anything set in stone yet, I'm floating the idea of starting a Patreon, and I'm not gonna get into anything right now. I'm definitely gonna make another video when everything is ready and good to go. I don't want to make any promises that I can't keep. But yeah, the main goal for a Patreon would be to just have the channel break even, because for the last few years that I've been doing this, and even before I went solo, when I was doing content with Tengu Drop, this has always been just a passion project where I've spent a lot of money, not only on the games and stuff for the channel, but also the software and the hardware needed to produce said videos. So the goal of the Patreon, at least starting out, would be to just sustain the channel, so that if there's a game or a mechanic that is requested or whatever, maybe I'll be able to use those funds to purchase the game so I can figure out what people are talking about so I can experience it firsthand. But more importantly, this computer that I'm recording on is getting old, and I've already had to swap out parts, and eventually that is going to get expensive to a point where again, this is a passion project. I'm not a millionaire, so there may be a point where if something expensive in this computer breaks down, knock on wood that doesn't happen, but you know, computers eventually do break down. But if an expensive part does break down and I can't afford to fix it, then that's sort of it. So if the channel is at least breaking even where it has some sort of financial bearings, then at least I can use that to continue to make content. That is the most important thing. That is the most that is a main focus of the Patreon. But I will say that if we do reach that point, the current plan again, I'm not going to go into major details, but basically, if the Patreon starts gaining more and more support, that'll allow me to justify more time spent on making content for the channel, which means that I will be able to add better rewards and tiers for things that people have constantly been asking me to provide. Things are still up in the air, so I do not want to promise a thing because I do not know the restrictions. I do not know, and I'm not even talking on Patreon side, I'm talking about myself, you know, because as much as I would love to promise you guys the world, I don't feel it's fair. You know, if I can't provide the world, I'm not gonna promise it. I want to be real about this, and I don't want anyone to feel like they're being deceived. So the summary is that the Patreon will start out as a way for me to make sure that I can continue producing this content, and should it ever grow to a point where I can justify it, it'll hopefully just get better with time. You know, the better that the Patreon does, the better that the content can be, the more that I can do, and that is the goal. But again, there will be better and more specific details and what to expect. For now, I just wanted to bring it up and hear what you guys may think about a Patreon, because there's no judgment here, but maybe my content is not worth a monthly subscription, which is fine, you know. But to be real here for a second, I realize that time is not on my side in more ways than one. And next year, in general, outside of the channel, is going to be weird for me. So I want to make sure that I can guarantee some type of future for this channel. And unfortunately, real life does not guarantee me that. So that's why I think that Patreon might be a good compromise. But anyway, I think I've rambled long enough. I've said a lot of weird stuff, I'm sure. Hopefully some of it made sense and did not scare you guys off. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. And as always, I say it every time, thank you so much for your guys' continued support. I always love hearing your guys' stories about what you guys are up to, what games you guys are making, how the channel has helped inspire you guys to follow your dreams as aspiring game developers or artists or whatever it is. I hope to continue doing that for you guys. It's really the driving force behind why I continue to do this, and it's why I've spent so much time and money of my own just to continue doing this. And it's always to hopefully inspire you guys and entertain you guys, and that's really all I want from it. And in a perfect world, I wouldn't even need something like Patreon, but the real world sucks sometimes. Reality is not always as peachy as we would like it to be. But anyway, on a more positive note, I hope you guys once again have had a wonderful holiday. I hope your 2021 was great, despite again the realities of the world. Please stay safe, have a safe new year, be good to one another, and for anyone who may need to hear this, know that you are loved and that you are not alone in this world. I know that especially this time of year, it can be hard for some people, so just know that these hard times will pass, you know, the hard times will pass, and just know that you can come out the other side. It may be hard, but as I try to express with my game development videos, you can do it. I believe in you, so don't lose hope. Well, that got a little more somber than I anticipated, but nonetheless, thank you so much again for your support, and especially listening to me ramble on in this video. So until next video, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys next time.